Yeah, no, this is a great thing yeah, no, they're different ones today. I'm like a collection. Um, I just wanted to say thank you to Miss Karen-Eileen Gordon and for all of you on today. She is the voiceover, as she says, goddess. She knows when people ask me questions, I'm like, don't ask me. I don't know. Ask her. She knows. So you guys, if you're interested in anything pertaining to voice, audiobooks, which I erroneously called books on tape, but Miss Karen-Eileen gently corrected me and
I
told
want you to have killer current
it's not
vocabulary.
called that. It's called
Yes.
audiobooks.
Audiobooks.
Audiobooks, voiceovers for commercials,
Mm-hmm.
television series, animation,
Yeah.
whether it's an animated commercial, an animated feature film. I mean, those people make a fortune
Yeah.
doing animated films, and
Yeah.
they go to work in their pajamas with curlers in their hair, no
Yeah.
makeup. It's
That's
fabulous.
right.
That's
It's
the way to work.
magical. Thank you kindly, Miss Glorious Lori Wyman. That's I'm
All right,
practicing.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go hide again. It's all yours. Have a great
Okay.
day.
How do I take off your spotlight?
Now just click on me and it'll say remove
Uh,
spotlight. You can remove me. I'm not on. You are. You're on with me now.
stop. Oh, so
So
I still see you really big. So let me make me really big. Hi, there we go. Hi, everybody. Oh, look how pretty you are. Everybody look around us, wave at everybody. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. All right, I'm going to close this so I can see the chat while I'm talking to all of you. Thank you for coming. It's very, very exciting to have you here. So before we get started, let me tell you a teeny bit about me. Some of you have studied with me before. I am a film, television, voiceover, and stage actress and coach goddess, some would say from the womb. For about the past 6 years, I've been coaching specifically voiceover for a Los Angeles-based, completely online, year-long voiceover curriculum. I'm a senior instructress with them called voheroes.com. So if you've been around me for more than a minute, you will have heard about that. My mentor and friend is David H. Lawrence the 17th. I graduated from that curriculum. It launched me. I loved it so much that I now teach it. And it's backstage. Those of you who are, I think almost everybody here is an actor. Hello, my fellow actors. And if you're not, you're welcome. Anybody can tell a story. Voiceover is about telling stories, and human beings are hardwired to tell stories. But the Voiceover Heroes curriculum is backstage award-winning 4 times running. So it's the real deal. And I was given great generosity by my mentors and teachers. I feel like I have a deep well of patience and a great love for artists who want to step into voiceover. And whether you're at the beginning or you're in the middle and you've been working a little bit, or you're senior and looking to up level, I love to help people at all those points. All right, I think I need to keep the participants window open so we can let people in. Beautiful. All right. I love that you're folding laundry, but listening and taking notes. That's beautiful. So, and this will also be on the Facebook page. Many of you are watching from there. So hello in Facebook universe. I will hop over and check on Facebook in case there's chat there, but because this is situated on Zoom, I can see the Zoom chat much more easily. So first, check in with me, everybody. Let's see, there's 34 of us here. Hello, tell me where you're from in the chat, if you haven't already, and tell me where you are in your voiceover journey so I can get a sense of what's in the room today. We're just gonna answer as many questions as we can. So I'm in beautiful South Florida. When the world is open, I'm a gypsy, Los Angeles, Atlanta, wherever they're hiring me, Puerto Rico. But at the moment, I'm hunkered down in beautiful South Florida, which is actually where I grew up. Grew up in Hollywood, and from Hollywood to Hollywood is the big joke. So let's see. Hello, Louisville in the house. Woo! Virginia, voiceover newbie. Welcome, newbie. You're very, very welcome. All right. Beautiful. I just want everybody to tell me what. Hi, forgive me if I mispronounce. Ivana Aventura, Pompano Beach. Clean slate. Yay. Yay for newbies. Yay for Tom Wall. Hello, magical Tom Wall. DC area, Cross Springs. Hello, Ellen. I'm trying to catch. It's going by really fast. Hello, Susan. And to some of you, hello. So nice to see you again. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. Joy, 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 joy here. All right, Boynton Beach. Nice. Just started. Captain Reese, welcome, welcome. Just started is fantastic. Great. Pam, if I don't say your name out loud, it's because the chat is flying by too quickly. I'm psychically welcoming you anyway. My former radio and TV personality. Look at that. Yay. I'm a former drive time news anchor for a station in Miami that no longer exists, but I used to get up at 3 a.m. to do the news for people. Loved it. Sophia, hello. Yes, of course I remember you. I never forget a face. So I remember all of you who've studied with me. You're very, very dear to me. Welcome back. Okay, great. Beautiful. All right. Let's see. Professionally 6 months, trying to take your game to the next level. Ben, that's fantastic. Yay. Let's see if we can answer some questions you have here today. So let's dive right in. Let's dive right in. And here's the thing I want to tell you as a very general overview for those of you who are brand new. I got some email questions and we'll get to those, but I want to answer your questions first. You're here with me today, but there's a couple that I wanted to answer for everybody's benefit. They'll be really, really helpful, I think, whether you're here or listening in archive. So one of the biggest questions I get is, can you make money as a voiceover artist? And absolutely you can. Those of you who are already working in voiceover know that to be true. And that's true in both the union and non-union worlds. I'm actually a union goddess, SAG-AFTRA and equity. However, the voiceover world is so vast and so wide and so deep that there literally is room for everybody. And people say, well, that can't be true at all. I'm going to ask you to keep an open mind and trust me when I say that it is true. Now, it also requires, like anything else, like the career path of being an on-camera film and television actor or a stage actor, requires your time and your energy and your learning and your practice. And in my opinion, a really good guide. Now, I'm going to tell you how to work with me if you want to. It doesn't have to be me. What's more important to me is that you find somebody that you feel very comfortable with, who you feel like you can guide you and take you to the next level. All the best coaches have coaches. I have coaches. Ms. Wyman has coaches. Anybody that you're coaching with who's a really wonderful coach is also constantly in the coaching process themselves, because the voiceover world changes. While we've been on this call, the voiceover world has changed. So the technology changes. What's current changes. So I want you to be connected to a person or a group where you feel like you can really come and grow. Beautiful. Let's start with a question. Somebody put a question in the chat. Let's get started. Let's get started with some questions. Very excited. And if you guys are feeling shy, I can go to the ones that were sent in. We start with those. Guys feeling shy? Some shyness? Okay, let me make sure. I'm hearing some. And please don't worry about it, because sometimes Zoom will mute and unmute itself sort of randomly. So I'm going to mute you all periodically if I hear noise coming from somewhere else. All right. Great. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Okay. Can I talk a little bit more about VO Heroes? Yes, Ben, I can talk about that. So for all of you, and I'll type it in the chat. Heroes.com. This is where it is, voheroes.com. It's a year-long curriculum. You can join at any time, but there's open enrollment twice a year and he'll give you like a really beautiful discount. It is a 12-month curriculum. So you can go onto that site and there are some things for free. Getting started in voiceover, I believe it's called Getting Started in Voiceover. But he's my mentor, David H. Lawrence XVII, and again, is tremendously generous and has informed the way that I coach. So go on that site and look around. And if you have questions, let me show you how to get in touch with me. Here we go. Most of you, I think, may know this, but let's do it. You can always pop something in the office hours group. I'll jump in there every couple of days to check. But if you want to reach me immediately, this is my direct email, voiceoverkaren@gmail.com. Okay. So let's see. Pamela says, do you have to have a soundproof room? It's a great question. So those of you who've studied with me before know that I have been described as a sparkly unicorn who runs a think tank. And what that means is I love the world of energy, the mind, body, spirit connection, anything that will help us feel better and more grounded and centered as we do our work as artists. And I also love metrics and data and things you can analyze and track and what produces results. So I'll do both of those things for you. I bring all that into my work as a coach and also as a voiceover artist. So a soundproof room, just to be clear, I want you guys to have killer language. Soundproof means zero sound gets in. Soundproof means if there was a jackhammer outside where you're recording, you would not hear it. That's soundproof. That's very unusual. I'm going to tell you about places that I love that have booths. There's all kinds of booths you can get, prefabricated booths or booths that will come to you. You can put up yourself. Sort of like the gold standard of booths in the voiceover world is from a company called Studio Bricks, Bricks. They're based out of Italy. And it's not a small investment. And so it's $5,000 and up for a small booth, but literally you can get what's called a double walled or a triple walled booth, which means that it's soundproof almost entirely. But you don't need that to start as a voiceover artist. In fact, if you have a walk-in closet stuffed with clothing, you have hit the voiceover recording lottery. That's because a walk-in closet stuffed with clothing is the number one choice for anybody who's either getting started or doesn't have a booth or isn't ready for a booth. And in the beginning, I wouldn't recommend a booth. It's a big expense. I'd like you to be earning, six figures or have that contract before you buy your booth. And there's plenty of things to do before you get there. So if you're new and even if you're seasoned and are recording in your house, in general, the quietest place in a room is the corner. The quietest place in a room is where the two walls come together. Now, of course, there's exceptions to that. If you've got a noisy pipe or noisy electrical in that wall, then no, that's not the quietest place. But I literally want you to know that your ears are fantastic sleuthing tools when you're not recording and, of course, when you are recording. So if you haven't already done this, please wander around your house and listen for what are the quietest spaces in your house. And also make a note of the quietest times of day in your house. When I first got started, well, I've posted this on social media, but my first attempt at a booth was a giant plastic dollhouse from Toys R Us. I thought that was a fantastic idea. Didn't work so well, but I brought it home and I was scrunched in and I have the picture. I was like, that's perfect. It was horrible. So what I actually did was I hung 4 really thick packing blankets, like moving blankets from Home Depot, in a square around me. And in that cocoon, at a certain time of night, my recording times were 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's when I did my recording in the beginning, because that's what was quiet. So not only do you need to be quiet, but I'm going to throw out a little bit of tech here, and don't let it overwhelm you, because sometimes I personally needed to be exposed to these concepts a lot of times before they sunk in. So I'm just going to put it out there. So in the voiceover world, and those of you who are already working know all about this, there's something called noise floor. Noise floor is what you're hearing in your recording space when your mic is listening and you are not talking at all. It's literally the sound of the room. And you're going for a very specific level for your noise floor. And once you hit this noise floor, you can produce what's called an industry standard or a broadcast quality file. That number is minus 60 dB. Let me type that in the chat. Minus 60 dB, and noise is measured in decibels. So minus 60 dB is pretty darn quiet. And the reason we're going from minus 60 dB in the space where you record is that minus 60 dB is industry standard for audiobooks. Now, even if you never want to do an audiobook in your life, audiobooks have the strictest technical requirements of any voiceover on the planet. So once your recording space is calibrated properly for audiobooks, you are good to go for everything else. Now, the other thing that you're aiming for, and this will make more sense to you as you learn if you're brand new, is you need to be recording at a certain level so that the waveform you're recording looks nice and fat and healthy. And what you're aiming for is this. You're aiming for minus 12 when you're speaking, between minus 12 and, oops, let me make sure that's minus 12 and minus 6. This is what you're aiming for. So minus 60 when you're quiet, between minus 12 and minus 6 when you're talking. And again, don't worry about that. If you're like, my brain is exploding, we'll come back and we'll explain that more deeply. Let me come back and, there's a lot of really good questions. Hold on. Wow, such good questions. Let's see, soundproof room. So Pamela, to answer your question, very long answer to your question, but with a lot of important stops along the way. No, you don't have to have a soundproof room, but you do need to find a space in your home where you can be at minus 60 dB when you are quiet and minus 12 when you're talking. And if you don't have a space like that, there are things to do. That's why people put up sound blankets and foam, or try, even if you don't have a walk-in closet, if you have a half closet and you can put the mic and a table in the closet so the mic and the table are surrounded by squishiness and you're outside it, that can get you there. So again, not soundproof, but you need to hit certain markers to have a broadcast quality industry standard file. Okay. Sharon says, why do submissions ask for a photo? Sharon, be more specific with me. Every website is different when they ask for voiceover stuff. They typically don't ask for a photo, but to be more specific, and let me come back to that because I'm not sure which one you're talking about. I'm not sure if it's Iris Lynn. Is that your first name? Please forgive me. Is it Iris or Iris Lynn? What is the best way to eliminate mouth clicks? Oh my goodness. For those of you who, now there's a difference between mouth noise and mouth clicks. So mouth noise is like that. Hi, how are you? That's mouth noise. Mouth clicks are what happen when there's literally a sharp click. It can come from your jaw. It can come from your trachea. It can come from you bumping the mic accidentally. So if it's a click, sometimes you will see it on the web file. And that's always my first choice, is to try and go in and grab that sucker. And there's a technique. This is kind of above what we can do here today, but the technique in Audacity is called amplify. And amplify means you can make something much louder or much softer. So if there's a click and you can amplify and reduce it, sometimes you can soften it and reduce it. You can replace it with room tone at -60 because you're going to be at -60 dB in your space. Yes, that's what you're going for. Sometimes if it's in the center of a word, it's very challenging to remove. And I want you to be very mindful. So I love YouTube. I love the internet. The internet is our gorgeous, personal, vast library. And I want you to just be mindful, because anybody, and I say this with great love and light, anybody can turn on a camera and make a YouTube video. It doesn't mean they're talking about what's industry standard. It doesn't mean they're giving you the simplest and most effective way to do something. So please just be mindful and check before you're going to fully adopt something that you've seen on a YouTube video. Try it out, check it with me, check it with somebody else in your voiceover world. So mouth clicks, there are filters and effects that will remove mouth clicks. You need to use them with a very light hand. And the reason is, if you have a mouth click, let's say in the middle of the end of your word, let's say the word was gingerbread. And in the D on gingerbread, there was a gingerbread, some kind of click in there. If you run a declicking program, the declicking program says, let's take out anything where there's a click. It will also grab the end of that D in gingerbread. So instead of gingerbread, you'll hear gingerbread, which is not what you want. So my goal for you is to find a way to organically remove clicks at the very ground level, which is in the authentic recording process. There's so many things to try there. One of the first is to do some massaging. If it's coming from your jaw, so many of us have TMJ, the temporal mandibular joint. Do 30 seconds of massage before you start your recording. Do a little throat and neck massage. Make sure you're warm and limber. Make no mistake, you as a voiceover artist are part athlete. It takes 100 muscles to produce speech. So I want you to think about warming up your instrument before you go, because that will radically impact the quality of your files, okay? So if you're talking about more mouth noise, hi, Coach Karen-Eileen. Nice to talk to you today. And by the way, I was pretty mouth noisy in the beginning. That can come from so many things. It can come from stress. It can come from dairy. It can come from alcohol. It can come from a medication you're on, a supplement you're taking, an allergy. So the first thing would be to just start to notice when you're more mouthy than other times. Granny Smith apples, those of you who've been in this business for a while, and Granny Smith, they're green. They're the bright green ones that are very sour. Fantastic at taking that schmacky stuff out of your mouth. I have so many voiceover artists, clients, and colleagues who keep green apple slices in their booth and chew and swallow. It depends on how many green apples you want. Chew and swallow, or chew and gently spit into a green apple spittoon. And that, again, radically shifts the sound of your mouth. There's so many things, Iris or Iris Lynn. I hope that gives you a couple, and we can keep talking about it. Jeannie from St. Louis, can you start without a professional voice demo? Such a great question. So the answer is yes. And what you want to wait until you have a demo to do, and again, this is a general rule, is you want to wait to approach an agency until you've got a demo. And there are so many demos that once you understand how to record to industry standard, there's so many demos you can do yourself without hiring a fantastic demo producer. Now, those of you who study with me, and this is more basic, but I want to take 30 seconds and just do it here. There are 5 voiceover demos that you always, always, always want to pay a seasoned voiceover producer to do for you. And by a seasoned voiceover demo producer, with great respect to all of our friends and colleagues, I don't mean your bestie who happens to be an engineer, unless that engineer is very experienced in voiceover demos, because voiceover demos, like headshots, have a very now style and industry standard, and they're very specific creatures. And I want somebody to assist you who has a great knowledge of what's working best now and a lot of experience doing it. So those 5 that you always want to hire someone to do: commercials, animation/video game. Those are one demo often. Animation/video game, that's a single demo. Promos and trailers, that's a single demo. Documentary narration, stuff you would see on Nat Geo, and something called IVR. Those of you who are unfamiliar, IVR stands for Interactive Voice Response. It's basically on-hold messaging from the personal all the way up to the corporate level. When you call your bank and you hear, "For your balance, press 6. You have $10,400,000. Yes, we all want that. All of those are IVR prompts. And so when you book an IVR job, you do what's called an inflection set and anything else they need. It can be anywhere from 10 prompts, if it's a small thing, up to thousands of prompts. I have a colleague who did all of the stuff for, this is David H. Lawrence's 17th, though I'm mentioning a lot. I hope his ears are burning. Who, back when AOL was dial-up and had modems and plugins, he did the IVR for AOL. And I think he told me there were 16,000 prompts for AOL. As you might imagine, that was a large paycheck. So that's one example of what's possible, right? There's also much smaller jobs. I've done IVR for my favorite mom and pop shops. And once you know what you're doing and our industry standard, you can approach your favorite businesses and say, "Hey, I'm a professional voiceover artist. Can I redo your outgoing voicemail for you?" It's a fantastic option. So we're talking about demos. So those 5 you want somebody to do. Now, here's the cool thing. Once you get set up in your space to record to industry standard and you know how to edit, you can produce what's called a bridge demo or placeholder demo. So a bridge demo is those 5 that I just mentioned: commercial, animation, video game, documentary narration, promos, trailers, IVR, those 5. You do them yourself. So you record pieces of copy and cut them together, 60 seconds, like a sizzle reel. If you want to try to add some music and effects, you can. Audacity makes that very easy. And Lori and I are thinking of putting together a lot more classes. So I'm going to ask you in a second what kind of classes you want. Let's not leave today without finding that out. So those are bridge demos. So those can go out to an agent and go on websites before you drop the cash to produce a demo. So demos in general, you can spend way too much money on a demo. In Los Angeles and New York, the range is like $1,000 to $2,500 for a single demo. I have some folks that I love and trust who will do it for about $1,100 or $1,200. So if you want a referral, I can give you one. I don't get a kickback or anything. I just love them. I know they do good work. But I want you to, I'm sorry, little Mike, got very excited. I want you to really vet the person. You have a right to ask your demo producer, what kind of demos have they done and what markets are they for? And you have a right to ask these questions to make sure you're compatible. And by the way, any demo producer that you're paying who is worth their salt and knows what they're doing will present you with copy. You are in no way ever expected to bring your own copy to a paid demo session, like ever. It's on them to get to know you and craft things that are a perfect fit for your voice. That is a normal part of any professional voiceover demo session. Okay. Let's see. Elizabeth says, "I need someone to listen to my recordings and tell me what they think and what I need to do to be even better." Ah, that's so good. Yes, we all need that. And along those lines, something that I'm thinking of forming is what I'm going to call a voiceover gym. Like drop in probably once a week, bring your material, screen share, let's go over it and sort of coach you. So if that's of interest to you, before we leave, I will ask at the end, because I know I needed that. I did that for a million years in Florida before I went to LA. It was really helpful. So Elizabeth, we're working on that. Yes, you do need that. You definitely do need that. And that can be a coach that you're working with. That can be a voiceover artist that you trust who's a little farther down the road from you. That can be a lot of people to have ears on your stuff. Forgive me. I want to say, what a great name. Please forgive me if I don't say it correctly. I want to say Ivana Hepburn Bailey. What a name. That's a marquee name. We all have marquee names. That one sounds especially marquee-ish to me. Okay. Ivana says, for equipment, this is a list of what she has. Isolation shield. Oh, we'll talk about those. Pop filter, high quality mic, Mac computer, quiet room, headphones, anything else I would need to get started with voiceover recordings. I love this question so much. Hold on a second. Let me go back to it. All right. So let's talk for a moment about an isolation shield, and I'm going to hydrate. And those of you who know me know that I believe that 15 minutes of intense concentration will dehydrate you, and your brain is working. So please have some tightly capped hydration to protect your electronics. Tightly capped, far away from anything electrical. Okay. So here's what an isolation shield is. And if you Google it, you'll see a picture. It's like a giant gray foam thing, usually in a curve that goes behind the microphone. So here's my mic. I'll show you. So if there's an isolation shield, it would be here in a big curve. I personally do not like them and do not recommend them. And here's why. The kind of mic that you want as a voiceover artist is called a cardioid condenser microphone. That's a little techie and sciencey. I can tell you the one that I use and the ones that I love. And I meant to bring my other preamp in here. We'll talk about that in a second. But so cardioid condenser microphones, by their nature, how they're crafted, are designed to minimize all the sound behind them and maximize sound on either side of your voice. It's about a sound pickup pattern. The sound pickup pattern looks like an upside down Valentine's heart, with the sharp point being behind the mic and the lobes being on either side of your mouth. The reason an isolation shield is not awesome is that it goes behind your mic. And if you have a great mic, that mic is already minimizing sound behind it for you. So it's not a great use of sound reducing material. Plus, this is my belief. I want you to be very healthy, thriving voiceover artists. That's why I love the mind, body, spirit connection. Whether you're sitting or standing, and both are fine, you want to be sitting or standing comfortably, looking straight ahead and drawing a line from your eyeballs to your copy. I don't want you looking down to read. I don't want you looking up or left or right. Comfortable, soft, flexible neck, because how your body is positioned when you do voiceover not only affects the sound, but over time will keep you healthy if you have good ergonomics. Yeah. Because if you're doing a 15-second commercial reading and you have to look down, okay. If you're doing a 10-hour documentary series or a 20-hour audiobook, or even if you're going to be in your booth several hours a day recording or doing whatever you're doing, not so much. So I want you really, really comfortable, and an isolation screen will block your vision. There's no way to have an isolation screen behind your mic and be where you need to be and be able to see your copy. So that's why I personally don't care for them. All of that being said, I'm going to tell you what I love and use. Feel free to say, Karen-Eileen, you're insane. I'm going to use my isolation field. Feel free. But I'm going to tell you what I recommend. And I always want you to try it out. Like, just because it works for me, I'm not sure it's going to work for you. I'm going to tell you what I love, and I want you to try it on. So here's the other thing. Ivana has a pop filter. Yes. The pop filter that I use is an adorable cashmere baby sock right here. But that goes perfectly with the mic that I use. Now, if you want this sock, it's really, really sweet. I'll tell you where to get it. Again, I don't get any kickback from this. I just love them and I use them. It's the cashmere that it's made of is acoustically clear, so it's a fantastic pop filter. And for those of you who don't know, this is a pop Peter Piper picked. So on consonants, hard consonants, usually B's and P's and F's, T's, there's too much wind. So rather than Peter Piper, we hear Peter Piper. So the windshield or the pop filter keeps those popping from happening. But guess what? There's something called mic orientation, which means where is the mic in space and where is your mouth in relation to the mic, that also reduces or completely eliminates plosives, is what they're called. So I recommend a pop filter. I like this one. The other one that I like, let me put it here. Let me spell it right. It's called the Pemotech pop filter, P-E-M-O-T-E-C-H. It's available on Amazon. It's super budgetary. It's about $9. It's like a half cup and it fits right over your mic. So you don't have to worry. If you've got the lollipop one with the bendy arm, which sometimes can act up and have shenanigans, it's a much nicer way to keep your pop filter solid and steady. Try it. Worst case scenario, you're out $9 and you can donate it to somebody else who might love it. Let's see. Let me go back here because there's something else. Something to be concerned about, or not to be concerned, to be mindful of when you're starting. And by the way, you can start with any computer you want, is the fan in your computer. Those of you who are recording already know, right? So there are computers that are constructed without a fan. The new MacBooks that use the M1 chip, that's the in-house chip, they're no longer using Intel. Those new Mac computers have no fan. However, I am not advocating you drop $1,000 or $1,500 on a new computer to start your voiceover work. Instead, if you've got a noisy fan, because once that fan kicks on, it'll be almost impossible to get to minus 60 dB if that computer's in front of you. You can either get a long cable and put that computer outside your recording space far enough away so the mic doesn't hear it, or you can get a budgetary monitor, keyboard, and mouse with a long cable so you can see everything you want and have the noisy computer out. But it all involves getting the fan noisy computer distanced enough from your mic so the mic does not hear it, unless you're okay stopping your work every time the fan kicks on. And if that's where you are in your voiceover process, do nothing until that bothers you. And then those are two very good options. Headphones matter. The ones that I love, let's see, they're down here. I'm using these adorable little Panasonic ones. They're shockingly good. I can send you those links. But the professional ones that you'll find in almost every brick and mortar studio on the planet are called Sony. Let me write it. Sony MDR. Sony MDR 7506s. Sony MDR 7506s. What you can hear while you're recording is a big deal, because recording and editing obviously uses your ears tremendously. So the clearer and sharper and more acoustically beautifully you can hear, the better. I don't ever recommend noise canceling headphones for voiceover work, because something about the noise cancellation construction will keep you from hearing your voiceover as clearly as your buyers of talent will hear it. So I don't recommend that. I love nerd stuff too, Christopher. Christopher loves nerd stuff. Hold on. So many good questions. Here we go. Just scrolling. Okay. Oh, so this is the last one for Yvonne, and these are questions for everybody. What else would you need to get started in voiceover recordings? Training, coaching, mentoring, somebody to teach you how to record and edit and export to industry standard. Really, really, really important before you move forward. But it sounds like you've got everything in place. So I want to make sure you're at minus 60 dB and recording at minus 12. So you need a mentor and a guide. It sounds like you're really well set up. Okay, I think is it Zeke? Forgive me. What a great, you guys have great names. Zeke, currently learning editing and recording software, have a demo completed and Basic Home Studio. Yay. Yay, Zeke. I love Audacity. I'm in love with Audacity. It's fantastic. I started on Pro Tools, which is a much more complicated program. I describe Pro Tools as like watering a flower with Niagara Falls. It's just very, very big and broad. And Audacity does the same stuff with the same quality, and it's much simpler. So I really enjoy Audacity. I also, because I have several audiobook students who've requested it, I'm learning Reaper. So that's a really popular software for audiobook people. So we'll talk about that in a second. Zeke, it sounds like you're in really good shape. Mindy, hello. Regarding rate cards. Okay, so Mindy says she recently recorded voiceovers in English and Spanish for an answering service and really didn't know how to charge. Felt you undercharged, took you some both languages, different numbers. Okay, so I think, Mindy, this is an answering service. So it sounds like IVR. This is the outgoing message for their company. So correct me, put up another thing in the chat and we'll come back to it. But here's what I recommend. The union rates are really good. For those of you who are non-union, please go to the SAG-AFTRA website and take a look at their rate cards, because that is a very decent starting point for you. If you Google SAG-AFTRA, I believe it's sagaftra.org. Some of my union brothers and sisters can pop that in the chat. If that's incorrect, please correct me. Go to their rate, they're free to the public. Please get familiar with what's going on in your industry. So whether you're beginning or in the middle of your journey or seasoned voiceover, please know the current rates. That's part, you are CEO of Voiceover You Incorporated. That is really important, both for you to know so you can talk with authority to your clients and so you can understand where you're comfortable charging. Now, every market has some different parameters. For example, the South Florida market will bear is very different than the prices you'll find in LA or New York. It's just kind of the nature of a non-union right to work state versus a union town. However, I still kind of want you to know what those rates are, because the union rates apply to people no matter where they are in the country, no matter what market you're in. It's a really good baseline. So let me admit. So this question is about how to price, I think, outgoing voicemail messaging. So what I would do is I would go onto the SAG-AFTRA website, and I don't have it in front of me, but I think the way they price it, it's really funky the way they did it for SAG-AFTRA, which is why I'm going to recommend something different for you. I think the session for an hour is like $550 or something like that. So my recommendation to you is $50 a prompt. If you're non-union, you can set your minimum. Maybe it's $50 a prompt with a 5 prompt minimum. So if it's an outgoing voicemail message and it's one thing, thank you for calling the Marvelous Bakery. Please press 1 to talk to us. Like if that's the whole thing and you're doing it in English and Spanish, then maybe that wouldn't apply. That's an outgoing message versus a series of prompts. If you're recording, thank you for calling Unicorn Bakery. For the office, press 1. For the financing, press 2. To order a unicorn cake, press 3. So that's, to give you an example, thank you for calling the Unicorn Bakery is 1 prompt. For accounting, that's another prompt. Press, that's another prompt. 3, that's another prompt. So every time you speak anything different that goes in a different place in their system, that's a separate prompt. So you would want to know what you're doing for them and price it accordingly. So what I do for union folks is I say, if it's $550, it's $50 a prompt. That would be like, my price is $50 a prompt with a 10 prompt minimum. Except what I want you to do as a union person is I want you to build in pension and health and paymaster, because you have to do that. And that's a whole other class we can talk about. So if you're doing an IVR job, it's very easy to convert it to union. The person just needs to agree to your rate, and then it goes through a paymaster, which you can do for them. So we could in fact probably do a whole class on that. Let's see. Elizabeth has a huge closet with clothes and uses a corner of it. That's fantastic. So I want to tell you how to test your noise floor to make sure you're in there. Barbara says, while you're in your stuffed walk-in closet, should you be standing or sitting when recording? Oh, Barbara, that is completely personal. I, at the moment, am at an up-down desk, so I am standing when I'm talking to you. When I record audiobooks, I prefer to sit. There is no wrong way to do it. You just need to decide. I have to tell you, for an audiobook, though, or for a long-form narration, it's better to choose sitting or standing and stay with that positioning for the project, because sitting or standing will change your tone and your breathing, and you want to be consistent throughout the project. So experiment. I would say do some commercial sitting and do some standing. Do an audiobook read sitting, do it standing. Try it out, because you're a unique snowflake, and what works for me may not work for you, but I want you to get used to the idea that your voiceover instincts are very good and they are online. I'm gonna say that again. Your voiceover instincts, even if you're at the beginning, are very good and they're online. So if you're like, I have this idea to do blah, 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 please do it. Do it and then assess. And that's part of the voiceover sleuthing. That's a part of setting up your studio and setting up what you love and figuring out which direction to go to. I want you to pay attention to what you're drawn to and what your ideas are. Yes, minus 60 dB. Audacity doesn't show below 45 or so. Oh, Elizabeth, yes, it does. So I wonder if I can screen share. Let me do that. Let me see if I can screen share with you guys. Hold on, I'm going to open Audacity. I'm going to show you how to test your noise floor right now, because I'm awesome and everybody should know. How do I screen share? Screen share this. Audacity. Great. Let me get this down here. Can you guys see my Audacity screen? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up? Awesome. Okay, this is the Audacity screen. I am on a Mac. So this says core audio here. If you're on a PC, it'll say MME. That's just about the operating system that the computer's talking to. I'm on the AT2020 USB Plus, so that's why you see those two here. The name of your mic should always be here. This should always, always, always say mono. Mono, mono, mono. 99.99% of all voiceover is done in mono. Your demos will be done in stereo, but you are not required to record any of your voiceover stuff in stereo. This thing here, can you see my cursor moving around? Does my cursor show up? Somebody nod? Okay, good. So this is your noise meter right here, built into Audacity. It may look a teeny bit different on your PC, but it's double line of numbers. The one we care about is the one next to the mic. This tiny little thing is the mic. So here you see minus 48, here you see minus 54. The left border here where it says LR, if they could have put a number there, that number would say minus 60. So the left border of this meter is minus 60. So let me show you what happens. I'm going to turn this down so you see. So what you're going to do is you're going to get set up in your space, everything plugged in, your headphones on, your mic set up, comfortable, quiet, have your tightly capped hydration. You're going to click once on the phrase, click to start monitoring. And now you see when I'm talking here. I'm a little distanced away. So, but when you're talking comfortably next to your mic, you want it. Let me show you. Testing 1, 2, there we go. When you're comfortably, oh, that's too hot. You kind of want it between minus 12 and minus 6 right here when you're talking. And when you're quiet, let's move it. You want to see no green bars whatsoever. Let me say that again. When you're quiet, nothing. Nothing at all here. That means the green bars exist, but they are to the left of minus 60. Now, here's the trick. The trick is you want both of those things happening at the same time. Nothing when you're quiet and minus 12 to minus 6 when you're talking. And the way that you do that depends on the type of computer you have, whether you have a preamp, which is something like a Scarlett or a PreSonus. And there's something called gain, G-A-I-N, which those of you who are in the voiceover world know all about. Gain is voiceover speak for loudness or volume, but only how loud would you like your computer to talk to your microphone. Nothing at all to do with what you're hearing in your ears, not a thing. It's a private chat between your mic and your computer that you're eavesdropping on. That is gain. And you need your gain as high as you can to still be at minus 60 and at minus 12. And that sometimes takes some finessing. Maybe your room needs to be quieter for you to handle a gain high enough that you're at minus 60 and minus 12. So that's where the sleuthing and the experimenting and the working with a coach comes in, basically. Elizabeth, I'm happy to clear that up for you. Very, very important. Let's see. Ellen, dB means decibels. Decibels. It's the way that sound is measured, decibels. And people, for some reason, don't like saying the whole word. It's not a long word, but they don't like it, so they say dB. Also, people will say to you, hey, voiceover awesome human, what is your DAW? What is your DAW? DAW, again, people don't, oh, turn my sound back up. Oh, okay, hold on. Let's increase your volume. Yep, testing 1, 2, test check, testing. Is that better? Testing. Testing 1, 2, test check. Better, yes. I think when I did Zoom something. You guys can hear me okay? If I can make it louder. I think I bumped something. Yeah, okay, great. What were we talking about? DAW, digital audio workstation. Digital audio workstation. Now that basically means what software are you on? What's your DAW? So my DAW is Audacity and Reaper, but some people when they say DAW, they mean what's your entire setup? So somebody might say, what's your DAW? And your DAW could be the Focusrite Scarlett 3rd generation, the AT2020 XLR mic, and Audacity. So it could be your preamp, your mic, and your software. So it depends on who's asking, but in general, DAW means what are you using to edit on? Okay, you're welcome. Please tell me, because sometimes when I move things in and out, I bump them. It's a danger when I'm moving around a lot in here. Let's see. Hold on, you're so welcome. Okay, let's see. I'm getting some thanks in there. Is it recommended, this is from Jeannie, is it recommended to record existing commercials, promos, or trailers for your demo? You can. There's something called fair use, which means that you're allowed to take stuff that's already aired, that somebody else has produced for your demo, because for demo purposes. And I have to see if I can find that there's a piece of legal code that I've had to send to the folks on YouTube a lot, because obviously if you're pulling stuff as an actor.
I can't hear you very well.
Oh.
Somebody said that you're using your Audacity mic instead of the regular mic.
Please hold. Mm-hmm. Testing 1, 2, test check. How's that? Is that better? Testing
a little better, yeah. Mm-hmm.
A little better, not a lot better. Very odd. So something about me sharing. Give me a second. Something
You were
about
doing good before. I mean, but then
some,
after Audacity, it got
yeah.
garbled and muted,
Hold
muffled,
on.
muffled.
All right. Give me a second here. Doing this. Testing 1 2 test check. Testing. Test 1 2 test check. Testing. Testing. Testing 1 2 test check. Let me check my system preferences. That's interesting. So when we're on Zoom, we're also streaming on Facebook Live. We're also screen sharing. This is what's called tech shenanigans, and this is something you have to work out. It's a normal part of voiceoverness. So thank you for letting me know. Input. Oh, there we go. That should be better. Is that better? Yes. So sometimes what happens when you shift between programs and you're on a Zoom is Zoom tries to be helpful and adjust things for you, and it's very, very naughty. Okay, great. Thank you for letting me know, everybody. But this is good? You can hear me now? Good. Okay, great. Let's see. Let's make sure. Yes to voiceover, Jim. Good. Linda needs to step out. Hold on. Let me go all the way back. There's so many great questions here, you all. Thank you. Elizabeth's taking classes gravy for the brain. Peak should be between -6 and 0. So if you talk to a dozen teachers, voiceover teachers and coaches, you will get a dozen different processes. I'm saying to you, I don't think you need to worry about peaks between -6 and -0, because if you're recording at -60 dB and you are between -12 and -6 when you're talking, and then you know how to normalize and export, your peaks will automatically be in a gorgeous place. It depends on how techie and nerdy you are and how deep a dive you want. So I prefer to set it up so simply that you just hit industry standard all the time with as few steps as possible. That is my preference. So Gravy for the Brain is magnificent. And if you want to try on that process and what they do, fantastic. And if you work with me or take a class with me, then I can give you my process and you can try on that and see if you like it better. It's really that way. I mean, I've tried on dozens of processes from dozens of different instructors and have come to this thing that I like that works for me. So I'm happy to share that with you. So that's my feeling on that, Miss Elizabeth. Christopher says, is there a phone app that accurately measures sound? Not that I'm aware of. If somebody knows of one, if we have any sound and engineers in here, and I would want you to use like an engineer level meter. Otherwise, if you're testing the sound like in a room, you could literally open up Audacity, plug in your mic, and hit the thingamabobber, the phrase. My brain isn't giving it to me. The thing. Okay, the thing in Audacity. You can check input sound or the phrase in the middle of the noise meter. You can literally click it and be quiet, and Audacity's sound meter will tell you how loud or quiet it is in that space. That's what I would recommend. That's a very accurate noise meter, actually. Can you use click remover in Audacity? Christopher, I would say very, very, very light hand, very carefully, because it will distort your sound. It's called destructive. It will distort your sound and maybe remove things you don't want removed. So you have to listen through every time you use it and make sure nothing is clipped and make sure your voice hasn't changed. My strong preference would be for you to try and eliminate clicks authentically in the original recording. Do you need massage? Do you need to change slightly the positioning of your mouth? Do you need to change slightly the position of your pop filter? I would try all of that before I said, go ahead and use a click filter, because I want your original recordings clean. That's my preference. Chantel, is Backstage.com good for VO auditions? They added a VO profile option. She's in Orlando, Florida, a newbie who wants to start. They are getting their sea legs. So from what I understand, and I'm on there, I have a profile, the majority of the stuff is non-union and extremely low pay, which is okay if you're getting started and you want experience. You still want to understand how to produce an industry standard file to give to them. So if you're in that place, I would say absolutely try on Backstage.com. Absolutely try it. And please let me know, because I'm looking for feedback on how people are doing with it. Elizabeth says, what about creating your own demos of commercials or animation to put up on Actors Access? Yeah, absolutely, Elizabeth. So you can create your own demos to put up on Actors Access or Backstage, etc. They still need to be recorded beautifully, because you will be competing against folks who know how to do that in their home studios and know how to make their files sound gorgeous. So I want you to try and sound the most awesome you can. That being said, I have a friend who booked like a series regular in an animation series, recording on an iPhone in her car, because that was the only time she could record. So there are exceptions, right? But I still want you guys to know how to produce a broadcast quality industry standard file for yourself, whether you're doing your own demos or submitting an audition. Ben, can you suggest some industry standard demo professionals in LA? Yes, I can. And I will put that in the chat. So the people that I love and use, I'm very biased because I know them well. Again, I don't get any kickbacks from any of this. David H. Lawrence the 17th will record a voiceover demo for you remotely, but he will not record your demo unless he feels you're ready. So he's pretty tough love. And please don't quote me on this. I think his price is like $1,200 for a demo, which is very, very reasonable. And then somebody who also works with me through VO Heroes, his name is Trevor, is a fantastic animation video game producer, like killer. And I think his demos are in the same range, $1,000. So I can give you that information if you want it. Email me, voiceoverkaren@gmail.com. Okay. Linda must step out. Yes, the recording will be available in the voiceover office hours. It'll live there. Need to learn how to edit and create auditions and be able to EQ. Yeah, so mastering is basically what happens to your voiceover file once you have recorded it. And there's lots of things that can be in mastering. The way you master audiobooks is completely different from anything else you would ever do. It's a different process. It's got different metrics to hit. Really important to learn. Some people like to outsource it, right? So you can pay somebody to edit your files for you and get them to industry standard. I kind of want to empower you to know how to do it and then choose to outsource it if you want to. It costs money to outsource it. So if you're starting and money's an issue at all, even if money's not an issue at all, as CEO of VoiceOver You Incorporated, I want you to know how to do it. Okay, great. VoiceOver Gym, yes. Tech nerd stuff, good. Yes. Did I say what mic I use? Christopher. So I have a bunch of mics. What I'm on today and what I adore is the AT2020 USB Plus. Again, AT2020 USB Plus. Let me send that to everybody. I'm going to send it. It was sold out for a long time during the pandemic. This is a USB mic. Now, to be really, really clear, I want to be really, really clear here. A lot of agents or producers or casting directors are very afraid when you tell them you're on a USB mic. And that is justified because 99% of all USB mics are horrible. I'm sorry to tell you. They're made with diaphragms and chips that cost like 11 cents. And the AT2020 USB Plus is made with stuff that costs about $11. So it is a fantastic, glorious mic. However, you will get some pushback. If somebody says, oh, you're on a USB mic, you can't possibly produce a file that's good. Well, I have clients and students recording for Penguin Random House in LA on an AT2020 USB Plus, and the engineers call them up and tell them they're liars because they can't possibly produce sound that good on this mic, but you can. It is a giant gift to the planet. I also have something called the AT2020, which is an XLR studio mic, plugs into what's called a preamp. Preamp is a box that connects to your mic, and the box itself connects to your filter. The most popular one is by a company called Focusrite. It's called the Scarlett. There's a lot of them that has gain controls on it. When I'm talking to you about gain, you would adjust the gain on your Scarlett. And if you're on a Mac, you also have a gain control in Audacity. If you're on a PC, you have gain control in Audacity. If you're on a Mac, your gain control in Audacity, if using a preamp, is locked. So you have one gain control. But preamps are a whole other universe. If you want to talk about that, we can talk about it next time. We can have a voiceover office hours on preamps. It's not everybody uses one. I recommend you know what they are and know about it as an option for you. Lisa says, my kid trained with Roger Becker. Very good. Oh, love about that. Thank you for that, that information. Zeke, what are my thoughts about recording on the Zoom H5? Zeke, I'm guessing that's a microphone and I'm not familiar with it. You can obviously spend thousands of dollars on a microphone. Neumann's and Sennheisers, you can spend $5,000 and up on a mic. It's not necessary. There was recently a shoot off. A friend of mine has done a lot of audiobooks, one using the AT2020 USB Plus, one using a $8,000 Neumann mic. And they did a side-by-side comparison and said to people, we want you to tell us which one was on the $8,000 mic and which one was on the $150 mic. And the expensive mic lost. It lost. So the AT2020 USB Plus, I'm not kidding around, is magnificent. So I can't speak to the Zoom H5 because I don't know it. But it's not one of the ones that I know of that are magnificent USB mics. If it's an XLR mic, I'd want to know about it. Any mic that's kind of under $150, I want you to be very mindful of, because the reason it's under $150 is that they're using cheaper stuff. It'll leave a hum or a hiss under your recordings that's really challenging to eliminate. Zoom H5 is a recorder that has XLR inputs. Thank you, Christopher. A recorder, does that mean like a little device or a microphone? Just because something has XLR inputs doesn't mean it's going to be your best choice as a voiceover artist. Oh, you're welcome, Jen. You're welcome. Happy teaching. Yes, the AT2020 USB Plus plugs directly in to a Mac or a PC. Now I have a MacBook, so I had to get an adapter because I have the USB-C, the little tiny one that looks almost like a lightning. So you have an adapter and it plugs directly in there. It's direct, communication is direct. The conversion that happens in a preamp on a Scarlett or PreSonus is another really good preamp, happens in the base of the AT2020 USB Plus. It happens in the microphone itself. Christopher, the new Macs, the brand new Macs made with the M like Mary 1 chip, which is not the Intel chip, have no fan. Also, if you can find it, they're very hard to find. The MacBook, not MacBook Pro, not MacBook Air, not MacBook anything, just MacBook. It was made from 2015 to 2018. Also has no fan. Those are tough to get, but the new ones have no fan. Somebody let me know if there's a PC with no fan. Oh my goodness, you know what I'm going to do? I promised that I'd answer these questions, so we're going to go a teeny bit over today. I'm going to go to these email questions. And what I want you guys to do for me, please, is pop in the chat, what kind of class or training would you be interested in? Sky's the limit. Do you want a tech boot camp? Do you need a voiceover 101? Yes, Kim, I got you. I got your question here. Do you want a how to get work class? Do you want a class on signatories? Do you need a class on preamps? Anything at all, go ahead and pop it in the chat, and then let me get to these questions here, and then we'll wrap it up. So we're going to go a teeny bit over today. This is from Kim. Hello, Kim. I see you in the room. This is many questions here, so I'll try to address these. And some of these were answered earlier in the recording. So if you will listen to them, you will hear those answers there. Let's see. Tips as far as pointing you in the right directions. Kim has done voiceovers before, now seems harder to connect yourself with the right people and right agents that are looking for actresses to do voiceovers. Okay, so there's a lot in this question. So if you're really getting started, the first thing you want to do is get in a fantastic class or find a fantastic coach, because you need to be recording to industry standard. And I want you to know how to edit and master files to industry standard yourself. So that's the first step. Before you go approaching an agent, you need an industry standard demo, and you can do bridge demos on your own. We talked about that earlier as well. Pointers for you once you get in that direction, how to stand out. This is gorgeous. This is very important. So I really fully believe that human beings are just authentic, natural storytellers. I don't care if you've never had any acting training, you are a storyteller. That's what human beings are. If you've ever told a joke, that's a story. If you've ever read a bedtime story to a small human being or to yourself, that's a story. If you've ever relayed to your significant other or your bestie something that happened to you the other day, that's a story. You're a storyteller. And that's what voiceover is, whether you're selling Crest in a 30-second commercial or doing the audiobook version of the Bible, which actually exists and is 80 hours long. Either one of those on either side of the spectrum, those are stories. So the question is, pointers once you get in that direction, how to stand out. So the most important way to stand out is to understand that your unique, gorgeous voice all by itself is way more than enough. I'm gonna say it again. Your unique, gorgeous, authentic, conversational storyteller voice is way more than enough. Industry standard now is really stories, and conversational stories. So 10 years ago, the style was very different. Now we want to feel like you're sitting at a park bench 6 feet away with your beautiful mask, or on the post-COVID world where you're sitting like comfortably, peacefully next to us, just telling us the story, or at Starbucks with a latte or something. So one of the ways to stand out is to work with a mentor or a class that you feel very comfortable with to find the place that you feel most drawn, what area of voiceovers. If you go on acx.com, which is audiobookcreationexchange.com, those of you in audiobooks know this, owned by Audible and Amazon, so they're the granddaddy in the field. You go on acx.com today, there's probably about 2,000 titles waiting for you or somebody to narrate them. And there are 22 genres. 22 genres of audiobooks. You could have 22 audiobook demos if you were interested in all those genres. So one of the important things for you, Kim, is to make a list of what are you most drawn to? What do you like to listen to? What draws you in the world of commercials, automation, video games? What area of voiceover do you most like, while being open to something you might not know about where you might thrive and really enjoy it. So you need to do some self-exploration in terms of what do you love? What kind of things bring you joy when you're consuming entertainment? And you can use the TV and film world as well. If it's all comedies, maybe you want to do comedic commercials. Maybe you do want to do comedic audiobooks. Maybe you want to position yourself as a comedic IVR artist. I mean, so the first thing is some self-knowledge. And the way you stand out is you get really, really clear on what your core identity and sound and loves are as a voiceover artist. She goes on, I know that there are different genres of voiceovers, cartoon, anime, and monsters. So cartoon, anime, and monsters, that's all part of one universe that's called animation and video games. So outside of animation and video games, there are dozens and dozens of other subsets of voiceover. I mean, it goes on endlessly. So the first thing I would do is to have you take like a really basic voiceover 101 class so you can understand the millions of choices you have, because it's hard to understand what we want to pick from if we don't know the palette. How do you stand out? Again, it's about getting into, first of all, having really good knowledge about the industry you're stepping into. Who are your buyers? And by the way, the buyers of animation are very different from the buyers from commercials. Where do they live? How do you get to them? That's all something you will learn in a good class or with a good coach or mentor. It's vast, 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 vast and deep, and you need a guide, which is something I fully, and I have guides to help me. Oh, I want to say thank you. She's a registered nurse on the front lines with COVID. Oh, I'm going to cry. Please, like a round of applause for Kim. Kim and anybody in the group who's first responder, who's helping. We love you. We're so grateful for you. You're doing just angelic work. And if Kim, if that didn't hit it, please email me directly. Voiceover Karen, you have my email. Let's see. Here's some more questions. Oh, these are great. And some of these were entered. These were forwarded. Thank you, Lori Wyman and Aaron. Thank you, Aaron, for forwarding these. Okay. Please hold for hydration. Please hold. Everybody hydrate, please. Your brains are working very hard. I can feel them. I love throat coat tea because I talk so much. I enjoy my throat coat tea. All right, here we go. Everybody still hearing me okay? Checking sound. Check, check, check test. Beautiful. Okay, this is a great question. Are these all from one person? I'm not sure who these are from, but I'm just going to answer. Oh, these are from Chris. Hi, Chris. We're going to answer all your questions now. Can anyone be a voiceover artist, especially men? This is from Chris. I always think that only titans like Don LaFontaine, James Earl Jones, and Morgan Freeman have the goods to do that kind of work. I love this question. For those of you who don't know Don LaFontaine, he passed away many years ago. He was the trailer guy. So anytime you went to a movie or saw a trailer, he would say, "Coming this summer from Paramount Pictures." That's Don LaFontaine. And I think his value was 7 or 8 figures by the time he died. There's actually a voiceover lab in Los Angeles named after him, the Don LaFontaine Voiceover Lab for SAG-AFTRA artists. He was a titan, and he went from studio to studio 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, recording trailers, and he made bazillions of dollars. So you do not have to be a Don LaFontaine to be a thriving voiceover artist. I actually Googled before I came onto class, and because I wanted to know what like the government statistics were, like what does a voiceover artist make? And so the range was something like $26,000 to $140,000 a year. That's the average somewhere. And that's a big average, obviously, but $26,000 to $140,000 a year. So it's not like $1,000 a year. Now, it depends on, again, how much time, how much energy, how much do you want to do it? I have friends that are doing 40 hours a week in audiobooks because they love it. And by the way, that has not slowed down in the pandemic, which is another reason I want to really empower people to do that if they want to. There's tremendous artistic expression and money available. And you can also create your own content and monetize it, which is a topic for another day. But no, Chris, you absolutely do not. There's a very few percentage of people on the planet who are celebrity voiceover talent. And obviously they will make more dollars than somebody new or somebody who's not yet known. But the voiceover universe is so vast and wide, as I said before, there is room for everybody. Now, somebody says to me, everybody, yes, unless you have a physical challenge. If you have any sort of physicality with your mouth or your jaw that would prevent you from speaking understandably, then yes, that would need to be addressed before you moved into voiceover. But even those people, had clients who went away and did speech therapy or physical therapy in a way to get themselves comfortably conversational and now are thriving. So that has also happened. So that's why I say there's room for anybody. And the caveat to that is who is willing to put in the time and the energy and the training. Yeah, because you have to learn some stuff. It'd be nice if I could wave my wands and make everybody an instant thriving voiceover smash hit, I would do that. But I have to tell you, the journey is lovely. So I wouldn't want to take the journey from you because it's kind of glorious to go from I'm not sure to now I'm thriving, or I'm thriving, I'm thriving in a bigger way. That's kind of a glorious journey. All right, questions? This is a very good one. Thank you, Chris. Do I have an example of a reel used by a successful voiceover artist to get work? Oh my goodness. Yes, indeed. So many of you who are voiceover artists know that there are several talent agencies on the planet that are considered the big boys. One of them is called William Morris Endeavor. I'm going to type that in the chat. Some of you already know all about them. William Morris. It's the oldest talent agent in existence. They were formed in like 1868 or something insane. It's on their website. So if you go to the William Morris Endeavor website and you scroll down, there'll be a section on voiceover. Click on that. And then it'll say, listen to our voiceover roster. Ladies and gentlemen, William Morris Endeavor works with extremely high level, radically successful voiceover humans, celebrities, and non-celebrities. It's a treasure trove for you to click on any area of voiceover and hear those demos. It is magical. Please go and click around and listen. And I guarantee you, this is the industry standard stuff. This is what's current now, what's working now, what's booking now, what's considered top of the game now. To me, that's a gorgeous resource. So please, please, please take advantage of it. This is more from Chris. Chris has beautiful questions. I understand the tech pretty well. Good for you. Good. Where do you find the specs VO purchasers require? Where does he find the specs VO purchasers require, or is that on a project by project basis? That's an interesting question. So if you are doing an audiobook for acx.com, there's a set of parameters. And please don't be overwhelmed, by the way, all of you in this group today. If you go to acx.com and look at the technical specifications, they're kind of like the equivalent of 12 pages long. They made me want to like lay on the carpet and hyperventilate with my kitty cat on top of me. Please don't let it freak you out, because the way that I teach and the way that I was taught, there's a very, very, very simple process to get you to ACX industry standard. It's good to know all that stuff. If you're a techie, you want to know it. But as I like to say, you don't have to understand everything about particle physics and electricity in order to turn on the switch and enjoy the light. It's the same concept. I want to give you the most important, useful things to get you to where you need to go. If you want to do the deep dive, you're welcome to. So the answer to this question, Chris, is every purchaser has a different set of requirements. Now, for auditions in general, you want to record at minus 60 dB. You're talking between minus 12 and minus 6. You want to normalize, which you can talk about that, and you're going to export. I recommend exporting at 112 kilobits per second. Please don't worry if this doesn't make sense to you. We can talk about it in another class or online. So there's certain parameters you want to hit if you're doing your auditions. If you're doing contracted work, that's going to be a different set of parameters. These are all in general. If you're doing an audiobook, that's a different set of parameters. Your client may say to you, hey, Chris, or any of you in the room, I know normally, industry standard is this, but please give us this kind of file. Please just send us a wave, or please export it at a different kilobits per second. So yes, you always want to know what your buyer of talent wants from you, especially if you're contracted. In general, there are industry standard parameters for auditions, contracted work, and audiobooks. Yeah? Okay. Good. Oh, there you are. Hi, you're here. Oh, hello. Let's see. Do I need traditional agent-client arrangements? Let me read this question again. Chris says, do I need traditional agent-client arrangement that actors, writers, etc. need? Well, yes. So there are voiceover agents and there are voiceover specific agents, like big agencies that only do voiceover, nothing else. There are also really respected agencies that have a voiceover subdivision. William Morris Endeavor is an example of that. So yes, a voiceover agent will open tremendous portals for you. Please, 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 if I could give you a giant piece of wisdom, please do not approach a voiceover agent until you have beautiful demos and you can record, edit, and master to industry standard. Please. You get one beautiful shot with each new connection. I want all of you to maximize that connection and build relationships. So many times I have clients and students come to me and say, well, I had a meeting with so-and-so and I sent them my stuff and why didn't they hire me? Why didn't they sign me? And I listen to what they've played and it's nowhere near industry standards. So please, please, please make sure you're super solid before you approach agency. Okay. What would disqualify you from this kind of work? What an interesting question. I think I mentioned that already. If you have a physical challenge of some kind and it doesn't disqualify you, it just puts a pause on it until that is addressed in a way that's satisfactory. Oh my gosh, this is huge. These are great questions. What are the different types of voiceover categories? Animated films is fantastic. That's an amazing question. And I think my brain would explode if I tried to answer it here. The biggies, the ones I mentioned from the demos, right? The big 5 demos, commercial, animation video game, documentary narration, promo trailer, IVR, and audiobooks has become neck and neck, by the way, with commercials during the pandemic, just so you know, in terms of the amount of dollars happening and the amount of opportunity. Audiobooks has risen to the top. And by the way, audiobooks, the reason I love them and do a lot of them is it's year over year growth. They are the hottest commodity in the publishing world without exception. Double-digit growth year after year, like in the 30s, like 30% growth year after year for the past 5 years or more. So there's no sign of it slowing down if you're drawn to it. If you're not, there's plenty of other things to do. Okay, hold on. Let's see the other questions. This is from Victor. Hello, Victor. I don't know if you're in the room. If you're in the room, say hi. Pop something in the chat. Victor says, after recording and edits, what are your most used general settings or effects, such as compression, normalization, noise reduction, or? Okay, so Victor is saying, after you record the file, before you send it off somewhere, what do you do to it? And my first answer to that is, well, it depends on what it is. If it's an audition, you're going to use a certain set of things. If it's contracted work, you might use something else. If it's an audiobook, you use something else entirely. Audiobooks are a separate sparkly unicorn done in a completely different way. The things that I use very lightly, again, because my preference is, again, a broken record, to record at minus 60 dB when I'm quiet, between minus 12 and minus 6 when I'm speaking. And the reason I'm so on you all about that is that when you're at those levels, it completely brings down the amount you have to do to a finished file to almost nothing. It makes your life so simple. Now, if you're in a crazy space and you cannot get to minus 60 no matter what, there's a function called noise reduction. Again, you need to use it so sparingly because if you overuse it, it's also destructive. It will alter your voice and you wind up sounding like a robot or artificial intelligence. And people who do voiceover for a living, casting directors, agents, producers, can hear that. And let me tell you this other cool thing too. Your ears are a strange muscle, which means that what you can hear in your track when you're recording will be more next week than it is this week. What you can hear in your track when you're reviewing and recording next year will blow your mind. It's a muscle that gets stronger and stronger over time. And by the way, if you're not wearing headphones when you're recording, please start. Always, 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 you want earbuds or headphones on while you're recording. It will cut your re-record and your editing time by more than 50%. Please, please, please. Now, feel free. This is what I recommend. You're like, Karen-Eileen, I hate that. I'm not doing it. Okay. Do you? And if you need help, talk to me or talk to your coach. But after crying salty tears over trying it without, I highly, highly recommend that you record with your earphones on. So Victor asks about compression, normalization, and noise reduction. If you go into Audacity under the effects menu, there's a million things and you can explore. The one I always use is normalization. And normalization, it's alphabetical, so under N for normalization. So you're going to normalize, and there's a debate about this. So again, if you talk to 10 people, you get 10 answers. But in general, there's a debate between, do you want to normalize to minus 3.0 or minus 1.0? Those are the two big debates. I fall on the camp of minus 3.0. I prefer that. And again, for audiobooks, you're doing something else. You're mastering in a very different manner, but the process does involve normalization as well. Compression, you do not need to worry about if you're recording at minus 60 and talking between minus 12 and minus 6. There's, again, the amplify technique. That's a way to make your normalization more robust and solid, but we don't have time to go into that today. We can talk about that either in a class or a future office hours. Oh my gosh, these questions are magnificent. Let me see. Did I get them? Did I get them all? One more. This is something that actually was from Actors Access, I think. Yes. Yeah, this is from a talent agent. So I really want you guys, all of you, to hear that if you have kids or have kids in your life, this is from an agent who said, I saw this on Actors Access. This is the reason kids are a really wonderful candidate for voiceover as well. Kids are natural storytellers as well, as we all know. Did you eat that cookie? No, a person came in and it was my brother. And yeah, those are stories. So they're ninjas. So this voiceover job, this was non-union. They were looking for an American accent sounding 10 to 13-year-old boy. Pay rate is $500 for this session and $4,000 for usage. So it's a $4,500 voiceover gig for a child who understands how to be in front of a mic comfortably and tell a story. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh my gosh, this was magnificent. We are a quarter hour over. Thank you for staying late. This has been so joyful. I am over the moon that we're doing this. I don't know why we waited so long, but it's perfect timing. This you please. All right, I like to do this. Okay, please raise your right hand. I can't make you, but please do it anyway. Grab a hold of your left shoulder. Everybody grab your shoulder. Pat, 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 pat. You get a pat on the back. Pat on the back. Yay, you. Repeat after me. I am voiceover awesome. Oh, wait, let's unmute. Hold on. Stop. Now we're all coming off. We're all coming off. Can I unmute everybody? Can I unmute you all? Are you unmuted? Everybody come off. It's gonna be,
we're off.
you're off? Everybody's off. Judy, come off mute. We want to hear you. And everybody, Mindy, Tiffany, Mona, Kate, Alex,
Yes, here.
Chantel. Okay. I want everybody off mute because your voices are important. If you can't, if you guys can't, so there's a couple people that are muted who are not on video. If you can't, that's just fine, but we're gonna wait a second. Mona and Phil, if you can unmute, do it. If not, we will know that you are participating along with us. Okay, great. Repeat after me. I am voiceover awesome.
I
am voiceover awesome.
I filled my brain with knowledge today.
I filled my brain with knowledge today.
I now have a bigger voiceover village.
I now have bigger voiceover village.
Yay me.
Yay me.
Yay me.
Round of applause, everybody. Miss Wyman, did you want to say any parting words? I want to give you a voice here.
No, it was great. It was great. I listened to all your stuff. I'm like, this is, I don't know what you were saying, but I know you knew what you were saying.
Yes.
You know, and I know that this is such an important aspect of performance, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to just be on camera. You don't have to just be TV shows or just movies or just commercials. You can do all of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can give as much or as little time to your voiceover journey as you like. Yes.
Absolutely.
All right.
Fabulous.
So thank you all for coming. I'm going to pay attention to what you asked for in the chat, and we'll be offering more as we go along. And I'll see you next month for sure. So please go forth and play and voiceover. And
Thank you again.
Can't wait to see you again.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye. The
Thank
replay
you.
will be
Thank
on the
you.
Facebook page. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you much.
Very welcome.
See you
So good to
soon.
see you soon.
Soon.
Go
Your
forth and
skin is
play.
still glowing, girl.
Ah,
Your skin is still glowing.
I love it. I love this work. I love all of you. So you're partly responsible for my facial. Mhm.
I love it.
Okay.
You are also awesome. Mwah. Thank
Big
you.
love, everybody. Be well.
All right. Thank you very much.